All right, we are live. Welcome in. We are with the what we call it, Dynasty veteran from
Oh yeah.
2007. Hey
Yeah,
Matt,
we got
hey
hey,
today.
we got an OG in the
So
house here. Very
yeah,
special guest. If you've ever seen a Seinfeld gif in the league chat of the Break Room League, pretty good chance it was our guest here. You may know him as at HeyMattHey. Matt, welcome to the stream.
Cheers, boys. Good to be with you, Dan, Blake.
Cheers.
Appreciate you having me on.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. So good. So glad you could make it here. And yeah, we got so many questions for you here. So yeah, you have been playing Dynasty since 2007. Like I remember when we first started talking some trades or whatever in the DMs, and man, like I couldn't believe that. Like I didn't even know like what Dynasty was in 2007. I mean, I probably only like heard of it like or really kind of started hearing about it more like in like 2019 maybe. So you were far ahead of the curve, my friend. Like, how the heck did you get into Dynasty way back then?
It's a good question. So yeah, I don't know if it does make me an expert per se, but definitely a veteran. Yeah, we started in '07. I think our original like redraft home league was '04, and it was really my friend Joe, who's yeah, I've been friends with him since first grade. He's one of those like real guy, and he was always so hardcore. I mean, I always loved fantasy football, even like in the earlier years. But he was always so hardcore about it, and I think he's the one that came up with this idea of dynasty. And yeah, back then it was very early days, and so he started this league. It originally started as just an eight-teamer. All right, and actually for the majority of the life of the league, it's been an eight-teamer
Oh
until we
wow.
had a revolution, which I can share some of that. But yeah, an eight-team league. We originally started two quarterbacks, three running backs, five wideouts.
Oh wow.
Um, Two tight ends, kicker, defense. I
Okay.
mentioned to you guys in the break room ahead of this, my
Yeah.
disdain
Yeah.
for the kicker defense, trying to get past that. But that was how it started. And that was '07. We had an interesting moment a couple years in where the commissioner at the time unilaterally wanted to remove a member of the team. So we'd actually, I think the only time we ever sometimes majority of guys play fantasy football. We have, my wife plays, other women play too, but like the bro drama was real in that moment,
Yeah.
and we kind of had a split of the league because we didn't feel it was like the right thing to unilaterally just remove a player even though they weren't a great manager.
Right.
And so that's why there's like this bizarro world. And I know we're going to do some Seinfeld stuff later. There's a bizarro world version of this dynasty league, which is super interesting. So there's one that's like the actual original league, and then another one that's split off from it. So if you go into my fantasy league, and this is not a commercial, by the way, out there, friends, for my fantasy league.
Not
It's
sponsored.
Yeah. But they could sponsor.
wild. It's pretty wild. I'm happy to be over on Sleeper with the break room, but it can do a lot. And so our data goes back to 2009, and I think that's why we've kept with MFL for all these years. It's like a lot of it's the data, the amount of data that it captures and keeps on there, even though it looks so ancient and always has, is pretty powerful. So then from '09, it continued on. I think a few last quips I'll give you in my opening here is just like thinking back to that original 2007 startup draft is pretty crazy. The two players that like stick out to me are Larry Fitzgerald, who I drafted there. He was probably 2 or 3 years into the league at the time, and I kept him through his whole career.
Oh
Oh
man.
You know,
man.
Woo!
That's awesome.
which is pretty sweet. I was chatting with Seb in the league earlier about like our Packer fandom, and I can't hate on Larry Fitzgerald despite that like brutal playoff
Oh.
loss where he took it to the house, well, took it all the way down the field. We lost.
Oh yeah. So I mean that was like the playoff run where like the Cardinals went to the Super Bowl and like Larry Fitzgerald was just like on an absolute tear in the playoffs there.
Was that the Jeff Janis Hail Mary?
No, that was it. That was it. No,
Was
I
it-
might be getting.
Wasn't that how they got? Because wasn't that?
I
What-
love Jeff Janis though. Like
Wasn't
yeah,
that
if I
how
was, like,
they got an
he would
OT,
have,
though?
like,
I
every
think
roster.
I think you're right. I'm confusing. There was a shootout one where we lost like 51-45 or something, and then there was the double Janice Hail Marys that you might be right, Blake, led to the like long pass to Fitzgerald.
Because Fitz won that one in OT, I think. That was
In OT.
what 2015 or something like that, or 2016. Yeah, that was man, that was a game. That brings it back. Jeff Janis, my God,
Man.
what a name.
Yeah, but I couldn't hate Fitzgerald for that because he was like my original guy. And then the other one that's just a great story that I like to tell is in the first Dynasty draft, I took Mike. Was that a dog barking, by the way?
That was, yeah.
Well, that actually we timed We timed that for you.
Oh, yeah.
I took Mike Vick in the in the 2000.
Talk about synchronicity, huh?
Oh, yeah.
In a very strange way.
Literally, that's where I was going with this.
Wow.
I took Mike Vick, and I think the week after, I took him in the startup draft. I don't know, maybe a 7th round pick or something like that, or no, probably early 4th, something like that. He got indicted on the
my
fighting charges.
Jeez.
But the best part, my friends, is that a true dynasty here. I held on to him through his entire, and he came back with the Eagles, and I think led me to one championship where he was just like heaving it deep to Deshaun Jackson and
that one, yeah. Yeah.
So.
Oh, dude, like, yeah, he had an absurd season. I mean, it was basically like what Lamar Jackson is doing now. But yeah, that one season with the Eagles was just insane. So yeah, I had him in redraft that year. Can't remember if I won the championship or not, but he was insane.
Talk about diamond hands, by the way. We got Fitz through the entire career. Hang on through the prison. How long was he? Was he in prison for like 2 years or something? Or?
Yeah, something like that.
It was more than 2. It was more than 2. It was at least 3. I want to say it was at least 3. We can look
it
was a long sentence.
Yeah, it's not on the degree of like Henry Ruggs, but like, can you imagine if you like hung on to Henry Ruggs and then, all of a sudden he gets out on good behavior and then he's just lighting up, winning you a championship.
Oh my god, yeah, and I wonder like if anyone like dropped Vic in dynasty leagues back then or whatever. Like, hard to imagine like being able to roster him for like years, like while he's in prison. I mean, so like you held him for that entire time.
The entire prison sentence, yeah. He was just.
Wow.
I think at the time we had.
Were the IR eligible, or like we're a roster spot on this guy like sitting in jail?
They created a new spot. It's like the prison, jail time slot,
right?
Yeah.
It was just a key for prison.
Yeah.
I think we had taxi squads at that point. As I've gotten more into it, I just prefer not to have taxi squadding. It's just easier to have a bigger roster. But I think we had taxi squads at the time, and so yeah, Vic just sat on the taxi squad until he came back in. Time.
That's crazy. And also, I'm curious about this like kind of bizarro dynasty league that like broke off. So like, what's the deal with that? So are you in both versions of the league, and like, why did that happen? It was kind of like part of the league was like revolting against like what happened with that decision, and so like, are you in both leagues or?
No, I'm not in both leagues, but like, my buddy who runs that league, fences were mended like long ago, right? So that's
okay, right.
Ultimately big deal. I moved over to the Red Irish Rocket Hawks and like kind of commissioned that there on. But yeah, it was basically we had a really bad manager who was like a mutual friend of everyone. See, that's the challenge when it's like everyone's friends too, and he was a bad owner, and I think there's a little bit of a falling out with them, and then he was unilaterally kicked out of the league, and most of the other people that split, and I didn't feel like that was obviously wasn't the right thing, even though like, probably more diplomatically if we'd like talked that through, we could have like found a way forward without him in the league, but it was what it was. So the Bizarro league continued, and once it was all mended, I mean that wasn't like a long beef or anything. It's honestly been kind of fun because my friend who runs that league now, we can talk between our leagues, talk strategy a bit like we're doing here, without any risk of like, us competing against each other. And you're able to see like the differences. Now our league has radically changed over the last few years. It doesn't even look like the same structure. But you can see like these teams just like becoming so different based on obviously the rookie draft and all the moves managers are making. So it actually ended up being kind of cool to see between the two, long term.
Right. So like having played Dynasty for this long, like, I mean, I'm sure like, of course, like you've seen like the NFL change a lot, but just like in terms of like the game of Dynasty, like how much has it changed since like 2007? I mean, have you seen like your league mates, either in that league or just like in general, like a lot better at like Dynasty than like they were, than they were back then? Like what was it like back in 07? Like did anyone have like any clue what they were doing? Was there any sense of like real like strategy or process, or like what was that like back then?
No, it was the Wild West, I mean, but even now, like I've been doing it for so long, but it continues to change, but there's so many resources, keep trade cuts, like all these ranking systems, all these calculators out there now. none of that especially really existed. There were rankings that you could find that were like, dynasty rankings back, even back then. So obviously that helped give you a barometer for things.
Right.
But really, when it came down to it, there was less of a real look at like positional advantages and things like that. Okay. I'm grateful that the league, even though it was like 8 teams, were just so tiny, and we usually had one team that was just not competing. So it was really like you got to make the playoffs of the 7. But
yeah,
I'm grateful it was a 2 QB situation, because my personal opinion, I'm interested in you guys too, but I think Dynasty like today is like super flex just makes things so much more strategic. Yeah. So we had a huge element of that being like a solid like full 2 QB. You must start 2 QB even with 8. 16 QBs are starting each week, so significant.
Yeah.
Which was always a factor. But yeah, it's definitely evolved. People have I think learned over time, but I think if you look back at everything, like the QBs being so valuable was always a thing. We always were a 6-point TD passing, so it was even more so, important to your team.
Yeah. I mean, you guys sound like you were really like ahead of the curve with like starting 2
QB.
I don't think that was very
2 tight end.
2 tight ends, 5 receivers, 3 running backs. And I think that's such a phenomenal format, not only because it's a bit unique, but I think it makes sense for an 8-team league where if you didn't have that kind of like starting lineup requirements, it would just become such a shallow league where probably like trades would never get done because like everyone just wants to get the best player in the deal, right?
That's exactly right. But you can imagine like there was like tension around a lot of the early days, like the rules there, because people were like, why are we starting so many people? This doesn't make sense, because there was so much you still have that with people who convert into Dynasty now, right? Mm-hmm. But the learning curve is much less. There's so much of this this redraft mentality that everyone would kind of still had. Mm-hmm. And because it wasn't even mainstream at all, it was like, what are we doing here? But people started getting into it and realizing like how much age matters, how much your positions matter differently. It was a standard league for the majority of its lifetime too. We're now So that made QBs even more powerful, right?
Oh my God, running backs must have been like everything. Not only because of like how different the NFL was back then with these like workhorse running backs and everything, but then you add to that with the fact it was a non-PPR. I have to believe like running backs were like the position that really like ruled things in that league. I mean, were they not, or was it still quarterback?
They were, but I think it's also like kind of interesting. Like the league also evolved, like the NFL evolved a little bit,
right?
And back then you had so many of those running backs that were such powerhouses, like Sean. You think of like Sean Alexander.
Oh
breaking the league. Running backs were king. I agree with you, Dan, on that. But with that league, still you're starting 5 wideout, and there were no flex, by the way.
Oh my God.
No flex.
Oh, okay.
No flex. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was way too rigid, but like it had some of the, like you're saying, the fundamentals of like some of what makes really great dynasty leagues today.
Right.
I'm shocked at how that league was set up. Like that's pretty you guys, what is that, almost like 18 years ahead of schedule there, especially just with the depth. And like even the 2 tight end thing, like I'm in a league, it is best ball where it's like you need to start 2 tight ends. I'm assuming it's standard, so you guys don't have a tight end premium or anything to this day.
No, to this day it's just straight. Now today it's well, I'll talk a little bit about. I won't go too deep into this. It was pretty interesting. We got to a moment where a few of the players were like done with the league and ahead of the 2013 season.
Okay.
And that was it was this way for a long time, guys. But we got to that started the 2023 season, excuse me. And it was like, okay, should we just call it? It's been a great run. And I was kind of ready, honestly. Like I had kind of lost a little bit of interest in that moment. So like I am a dynasty veteran, but I also kind of got reinvigorated because I also, through having to deciding to save the league, then I got a little bit more tuned into everything that's happened in the world around me with Dynasty. It just like I always had the rankings. We had more trade calculators. Everyone knew those, but like I wasn't aware of this kind of bigger ecosystem around Dynasty, you know, and that learning helped me like rebuild the league to actually bring in 4 new managers, do an expansion draft for the 2 that left, bring it up to 10 teams, a little bit more legitimate, and then reduce it down to, you know, super flex league with 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, a couple flex, a little bit more standard like we live in most leagues today.
Okay. And I want to segue into maybe breaking down a couple of the recent trades that have gone down in the break room. Would love to get your thoughts on those. And as we do that, though, tell us a little bit about your co-manager. So your co-manager is at Seaglass87. So, yeah, what's it like? Have you ever had a co-manager in Dynasty before? And, you know, what's that been like? You know, just, you know, that relationship of, you know, trying to get on the same page and manage a Dynasty team together. Have you ever done that before? And what has that been like in the break room so far?
Yeah, no, I never done that before. You know, Cormac's his name, and we're very close. We talk a lot, maybe too much according to my wife. But we've been talking a lot about this league, and he was one of the 4 managers we brought into the Red Irish Rocket Hawks, which is our crazy league name. When we did that expansion in 2013 or 2023. Okay. And so he rapidly saw like how cool this was, because like we were talking about before the stream, it's like being an NFL GM, right? And so he got the bug, and it was fun for like that helped reinvigorate me too, because like seeing new people like really lean in and
totally
find it so fun. And so like we were over rotating. There's only so much you could talk about this one league that he's joined, and so we're like, you know what, maybe we co-run a team to like, you know, have more of that conversation like while starting it together. So that was kind of the idea, and yeah, it's been fun. You know, we're both working, and the draft moves fast, and there's a lot of like rapid like hop on the phone and forego, you know, maybe you know, we're all college buddies. You know Moochie, Dan. When he gets fired from his high corporate gig, but. No, it's been fun. You know, we go back and forth, and we usually kind of like meet in the middle on a ranking and the draft and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Trade talks go a little bit slower because we do want to each like talk together, but it's been fun co-running it. What about you guys? You guys have you know, Blake, you're with Joshy in this one, right? And
yeah. I mean, I'm with Joshy in this one, which is funny is like the league that we met Joshy in, Dan and I co-manage that team. Yeah. So we met, like, we were chatting with Joshy kind of through there. I ended up joining 2 more leagues. Like, I'm in, like, 12 leagues. And so I'm in, like, 4 with Joshy. And so naturally, like, we were bouncing things off each other and you know, chit-chatting about trades, stuff like that. So then we're just like, hey, man, like, why don't we just, you know, whatever, co-manage a team. So it's funny, I've joined, like, the, you know, the dark side here with our competition. I think we actually were both in the semis, like in the league that Dan and I co-managed. So now Josh and I joined forces, and that was a lot of fun. I'm also with co-manager with Andrew, who is RB Squishy in this league too, and we're co-managers in another Joshy league. So there's a lot of like Joshy, RB Squishy, Dan, and me crossover there.
Kind of like there's kind of this like core group of people where like we all play in a bunch of like the same leagues together, and so that's been really cool, and it's been fun with the channel, like, you know, getting to know some of these guys, like having them on live streams, and so like that's been a ton of fun. And I manage this team with my brother, and we've been like managing. My brother and I co-managed like that in that 16-team league I mentioned that folded this offseason. We had basically like managed a team in that for like the last several years, and we'd actually built a really sick squad. Like we won the championship 2 years in a row, and then we came up like just short this past season. We, you know, just fell short of the three-peat. And then the league just kind of like folded out of the blue, as, you know, sometimes happens with dynasty leagues.
Especially 16 team. I mean, that's hard to keep going, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a bigger challenge for a lot of different reasons. So, you know, we weren't too shocked, but basically we were just looking for like a new team to co-manage together, and that's just been like a really fun thing between my brother and I. Like, it's just kind of like this like fun bonding thing. Like, we both have always loved football, we've always loved fantasy, we've been playing it since like 2000. You know, we just got into Dynasty in like 2020 basically, and I've been co-managing a team since then, and it's been a lot of fun. Like, yeah, like it's just always fun. Like how you mentioned, like sometimes you just gotta like stop what you're doing and like make that call or text and like get that trade done or whatever. So it's a lot of fun, and also like. My brother is pretty busy because, like, he's married, he's got a kid, busy with his job and everything. My life's pretty busy with, like, multiple different jobs and, other just hobbies and commitments and everything. But, like, managing this dynasty team together, that we just inevitably talk more because of it. You know what I mean?
100%.
I just love the way that, not just fantasy, but even especially dynasty, because it's, like, this year-round thing. It just, like, really, like... It's just a great excuse to like keep in touch with like your friends or family or whatever, and it's just like a fun thing to bond over.
I agree with that, and for my in the break room format, he's a big Jets fan, so like I'm hoping we can bring him a win and you bring him some joy because
right,
he's long awaited.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
As a Lions fan, I can relate. So, I mean, maybe that's probably the reason I've gotten so into fantasy football, because I just got like so tired of waiting around for my like Lions to like ever like be good or do anything. And so it's just like, what? Like I'm going to find like something that I at least have some control over the outcome,
Yeah, fine. I'll do it myself here.
I'll do it exactly. Yeah. I'll do it myself. Lions are never going to win me a
Thanos action for fake. I like it.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's actually probably the most like underrated. I don't even know if I've heard really anyone talk about it, but like if you co-manage, even if you don't co-manage, even if you're in a league with like, whatever, like kind of like your home league with some buddies and stuff like that, like it's just a way to like, whatever, bond with them, like keep in touch. And like so Grease Bowl is like a league I started a couple years ago. That's like, kind of like the main, whatever, like my main league of like what I started. And so like I got Dan in there, Andrew's in there, but then I got some like buddies like for my, that I know in real life in there. And it's just like a good like mixture of kind of like the Dynasty, people I know through Dynasty, people I know in real life. And then we're, whatever, I'm always talking about them. They're running by stuff through me. And it's, just a good combination of like your love for football and, able to connect with, your friends and stuff like that. Like, if anyone was watching, like, it's kind of just, like, another way to enjoy football, really. Like, I know it's, like, it's fantasy football and stuff like that, but, like you said, it's kind of like you're just, like, your own GM. You get to kind of, I don't know, do things how you want, but it's really no different from just, like, watching and trying to predict a couple things in football. I guess I don't know if there's a better way to articulate that, but... It's just another way to enjoy it, especially in Dynasty, because in the off season you get to like keep it going. It's not just something you do.
The season never ends.
It never ends. Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I love Dynasty, because it really feels like in a way like the football season is never really over. And I think the best part about like Grease Bowl, or at least my favorite thing, is just like how we did like the rookie draft on a Zoom call last year. So we basically got like just about everyone in the league on the Zoom call. We even streamed it on YouTube. You can still watch it if you want to see if anyone out there wants to see what that was like. But that was totally fun. And I'm trying to remember, Blake, how long was the clock on that? Was it like 5 minutes?
It was, actually, I guess you wouldn't know anything about this, Matt, but it was a 5-minute clock, and I just wanted to do something different. Like, I used to play Madden competitively, which is like really random, but like there was like some good inspiration like through there. So like there was this one kind of like a fun but really competitive like thing that would go on Twitch, and they would live stream to like thousands of people watch it. And one time I actually participated in it, but like basically they had like a nice like fun like advertisement of it. So I ended up making like an ad just for our league of like it was to what is it? I feel it coming in the air tonight. And it was like all our faces and like random stuff, but they would do these like really fun things, and they play that music. What's that like? I don't know if I can play it on stream here, but there's a very specific like it's when is it Terry Bradshaw when he does the 2-minute like NFL replay on Monday night. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's like
Chris Berman.
Oh, is it him? Okay. It's like
I know that song, yeah.
So anyways, I was playing that. Exactly. So anyways, I combined like all that like kind of inspiration of like how they would do it over there, and I just like that would be so much fun in like a Dynasty draft if we did it like live instead of 8-hour clock, and then we get everyone we can in the Zoom call, or if they have to leave, come in, whatever. And I just kind of like run the show of like I'm just kind of like the middleman of like negotiations. Like you could talk in negotiations on stream, you could do it on your phone, whatever you want. So what I said is, okay, you have a 5-minute timer, but like if you're negotiating, we'll extend it. But if not, like you have to pick. So anyways, we ended up getting like quite a few deals done, and I think that was like actually a pretty viewed, like one of our more viewed.
Oh yeah,
like,
a lot of people watched that because I think it was
things.
just like cool to see like a real dynasty league drafting live immediately after the NFL draft too. I mean, we did
the seventh. No, the 7th round was like being drafted.
The 7th round wasn't even over yet. We started the fantasy draft.
Well, we started it. Yeah, because we the whole draft we know isn't in a day, so like we had time to process like day 1 and 2, but then day 3 like you needed to see those 4th round stuff. Obviously, round 5 and beyond is generally like pretty useless, but it was really interesting how that like played out. So we're gonna run it back again this year. Same thing, but yeah, that was a lot of fun, and there was just like to see that draft board versus a week later even where because here's the thing, like you were saying with your 2007 thing, like there wasn't really any resources. Well, now everyone has resources, everyone can just kind of group think their way to rankings, every something like that. Well, this one you can't. There's no rankings out while the NFL draft's still going. So basically, like there was a lot of fallers. Like I think like Marshawn Lloyd was generally a 2nd round pick. Like he fell to the 4th round was one that was notable. There was a lot of like interesting. Malachi Corley was taken 2-3 by Coda.
And probably some other things that worked out in people's favor. You know, I found like after the draft, Brian Thomas Jr. kept being faded on by so many people. And it was like going into the draft, he was consensus wide receiver 4, and I didn't understand why he was moving back to wide receiver 5 and 6. And you know, if you had done it right after the draft, you probably still would have taken wide receiver 4. But anyways,
yeah,
he was.
But I mean that rookie draft looked different than any of the other rookie drafts that in any of my other leagues, just because it was like so early. People hadn't had a chance to process everything. So yeah, it was a fun opportunity to get some values on some players, and it'll be interesting to see how that is this year. I think I'll probably be like a little more prepared this year. Like I don't know, it just kind of snuck up on me last year. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like I mean, you know, it could be something to even like bring to like more leagues potentially, because it is a lot of fun doing it that way. So I don't know. So consider I could imagine like the break room doing that.
So I was thinking about like we should, because here's the thing, I don't know if you saw the timer, like I had it set for like the day after the draft right now to like I like in my leagues just bringing it like right away, just so it's just not like every other league, and that you don't have a lot of people that are joining these leagues are in like whatever, you know, generally probably like 5+ for the most part. So everyone's drafts is like a week or 2 after, but like you know, I don't know, it's a good mix up to get something going right.
Sure.
And like we were just saying, it's a lot of fun doing that, because you know you kind of got to go off your own. You know, you got to pull out your rankings on your own rather than resort to others.
I would. You know, I can't speak for all of the break room, but I think that would be interesting to, you know, put to a vote or something. And I'll definitely tune into the Grease Bowl. I'll definitely tune in when you guys stream.
Oh yeah, absolutely, appreciate it. Hey, let's talk some break room. You guys want to break down some couple recent trades that have happened over the last like week or so?
Let's do it. Let's check. Randy's in the chat. He said, "Why has he never thought about co-managing? That sounds fun." Which agreed. I don't see too many people co-managing, but in this league we have 4 teams co-managing in break room. So I think that's the most I've ever seen.
Hey,
maybe it's
Randy. Randy, I don't know if I can take on another league, but like I think you would be a fun person to co-manage with. So if you know the both of us are ever looking for like a new league or whatever, like that would definitely be something fun to do. So let me know if you'd ever be down for that.
And Randy also said if we do a league like this again, that he's down. So I think he's talking about break room. I think, or whatever, just any league.
Because we were just talking about Grease Bowl a lot.
Okay, I'm not sure what he had.
Let us know, Randy, but but yeah, Grease Bowl has been a lot of fun, and you know, just a reminder, we do have the listener league that we're starting here. So basically just like a league of like people that like watch the channel, watch the live streams or whatever. So if anyone is interested in that, like we still got a number of spots open up. There has been a lot of interest in it. So yeah, get a spot while it's still available. But yeah, that'll be starting like sometime the next like, I don't know, month or two, probably like some point like after the NFL draft. But yeah, we're really excited about that though.
Absolutely.
That's great. And if you're a listener out there, join that league, because you're going to be able to see all of Dan and Blake's amazing strategies and then use it against.
That's right.
Exactly. Hey,
That's right.
it's already happened.
Yes.
I was talking about my how I like Marvin Mims, and he's kind of like one of my sleepers this offseason. And I had a chance to trade for him, and I was gonna do it at some point, but then Sebastian ended up moving him to Colossal Tighten Up, and then of course like Colossal Tighten Up, watches the channel pretty regularly, which is amazing. Like shout out to him. Yeah, his name's Jared, by the way. And yeah, like so now like we're talking some trades, and it sucks because like he knows I like Mims, but I think he's still being pretty reasonable about it. So we might have a trade in the works, but yeah, we've already kind of experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, I've been getting quite a few offers too of like different players we mentioned on the stream, or like videos, like some from Joshy, some from just like other people that I didn't think were watching and were. So it's been kind of funny. Yeah, it's been kind of funny to see it. That's I guess the disadvantages, but you gotta live with it.
It's the plight of every Dynasty content creator. So it's just goes with territory. Right.
Yeah, that's right. And so, anyways, we're gonna pull up the break room.
Want to just go like reverse chronological order, or do you want to start at the beginning? What do you want to do here?
So let's. Yeah, I think we got to start this trade. I think there's only been really two. No, 3. There's been 3 because there was that draft pick trade. Draft picks only.
Of course, we've had a couple of trade reversals.
Which is interesting.
That's definitely been a subject of conversation in the league chat, but
that was a little sus, as the people say. Hey, you were scrolling. I just wanted to call out. You were scrolling through all of that chat. Hey, hallmark of a great league is all the banter and all the chat there. You love to see it. You love to see it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Trade reversals are like far and few between. I've seen them a few times. In fact, like Joshy, I think is like a big trade reversal guy, or seemed like it in season, because we did a famous lad for. We gave a third after the Rice injury to go from lad to Worthy.
Yeah.
And then he was thinking about like reversing it, and we're like, yes, let's do that. Never got it done, but he's mentioned reversals a couple times. I don't think I've seen any other people really try to reverse deals like that.
Of course, with Joshy, they're like voluntary like reversals. It's not like the trade got vetoed or anything. And I think that's what's interesting about in the break room is that both of the reversals have been voluntary, which I personally think is cool. I mean, I'm sure like different people have like different opinions on it. I mean, like Matt, like you're welcome to weigh in on that. But yeah, it is tricky when you have like 11 experienced dynasty managers, or I guess probably more, because you got like the pair, like 5 pairs of co-managers, and then you have like one guy that's completely new to dynasty and like just learning it. So it does create some potential issues and some tricky dynamics there. But I haven't had an issue with anything. I think it's been cool that the way everything's gone down. But yeah, I don't know. Any thoughts you want to share on that, Matt?
For me, if it's in the off season like this, and it's we're flipping back, I think that's respectable and reasonable. What I would start squinting at is if you get in season and it's like multi-week, where now I traded for Xavier Worthy, I started him these 2 weeks, now I'm trading him back. That's that starts to get into a different conversation. But when these have been flip backs pretty quickly, and
I think that's the key. Is like I don't know. I think both were within like a day or 2 days or something like that. It's nothing's happening. It's not like the rookie draft happened or anything. So then but yeah, if this was even like a month later, like that would be pretty odd. Like, I don't think that would happen. I think the key is that it's like right away. So I don't know. Did this one get reversed?
Like in both cases, again, they were voluntary. So like I guess like no rules being broken. Obviously, like one of them is like a trade that I reversed. But like, yeah, I mean, I think it would be different with like the timing element if it was like, the commissioner had to like reverse it. But if both parties like agree to it, I mean, yeah, and it's the off season, like, yeah, I don't have any.
So how did that even come to, by the way? Did he just say he regretted it and wanted to?
We were just chatting, like he didn't ask for it to be reversed or anything, but like we were just like talking about things and been giving Sebastian a little advice just on like Dynasty in general or whatever. And yeah, it just kind of came up in conversation that like he wasn't happy with it. And like, I felt bad because like I thought it was a very fair trade. For both sides. I thought it probably helped both of our teams, obviously, which is why I made it. So like, I mean, I wasn't dying to reverse it, but at like the same time, like I was kind of like just as happy with the other side of it. So I was just like, you know what, like I can kind of go either way with it. So like, if you really like hate the trade now, like, just throw me a fourth and like, I'm happy to reverse it. And so he was happy with that. So it just kind of like worked out, well for both sides. So yeah, I mean, like, obviously, like, that's not going to be like happening forever. Like, eventually, like, these trades will just have to stand and, Sebastian will just have to learn if he makes a bad deal. And, I mean, that happens to every new dynasty manager, but it does create some issues, in like a league where like everyone else is experienced. Cause like, of course we don't want like one team just going to like absolute, like, zero value. And then it's like impossible to like, fill an orphan or whatever, if, not saying like Sebastian would like, run away from it or whatever, but like it does create some potential issues.
Yeah, by the way, apologies to the stream because I just was like choking the overlays, so we had some technical difficulties there, but we're all good now.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
all I was gonna add to that was just that's the one thing is like for a new player, there's like some. I don't think I've ever seen this before with like a brand new player because the issue is that like if there's an issue, it's that Seb's really dying to trade, right?
Yeah.
He's very itching, and we've talked. I especially talked to him. I said like, hey man, like a lot of times like you just kind of want to let things play out. Like there's nothing wrong with making deals, but it's like you're also brand new. Like you should get some more information. Like. And right now it's just like boom, you sent me an offer, accepted. Like this, that, all right, throw this in, So I'm trying to like, whatever, buy the commissioner and like, he's the new guy, so I'm trying to like help him as far as just like, make sure he doesn't completely like screw up, basically.
Well, there's also like I love that like he loves trading and he's really kind of fallen in love with Dynasty. So it's like that's how you want managers to be, but it's just almost like maybe like too much too soon. But I mean I love his passion and he'll definitely figure it out. I'm hoping he lands the plane. Like definitely rooting for Sebastian and it's definitely been a pleasure having him in this league. Even though we've reversed a couple trades, been obviously some people are talking some crap in the league chat, but I think it's all in good fun, and I think it's a pretty good group of guys here.
Yeah, Seb and I had a long back and forth, great chat in the chat today. That started with a trade talk that he was starting to. So yeah, he's out there wheeling, dealing.
Oh yeah,
he's making it happen. I guess the other thing to it too is like there's also different levels of trades, right? Like you can make like a few moves and then you could make something like this, which is an absolute block.
Yes.
So
it kind of sounded like Kramer there when he was like, he was gonna like redesign his apartments. He's like, I'm gonna have levels, Yeah. And then even like the fake Kramer did it in like the pilot episode, he's like doing it in the audition, levels, Jerry.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point too. There are levels to it because this is like an absolute blockbuster. So this one didn't get reversed, right? So this is the one that was not reversed. This is still stands, right? Everything is still.
The Chase one, the Chase one's good. So I think the statute of limitations has run out. So like this trade is permanent final. So yeah, I think we can analyze it.
All right, sounds good. So. I'll let you guys, chime in on this first.
Yeah,
here.
I could jump in. I could jump in on this unless you have an opinion, Matt. But like the way I broke it down is, I kind of saw it as basically Seb was trading Bijan in his 26 first for Jamar Chase, which would seem like a bit of an overpay, and I mean definitely seems like a luxury trade. Like I mean if you're just like overflowing with assets, like and you want that. Elite dynasty player in Chase and have the stack with Burrow. I certainly understand it. I kind of feel like Seb wasn't in a position to like make a luxury trade like that. And then I I think another part of the trade was basically traded Tyreek Hill for the 203. I'm good with that. I mean, I think that's about market value for Tyreek. I kind of feel like, he's kind of headed downhill a bit. His best years are probably behind him. I could be wrong, but it does seem like he's losing his speed maybe a little bit. And it seems like he's also discontent with the Dolphins. So I don't know. It just feels like it could be heading toward like maybe Antonio Brown territory. I could be completely wrong. Tyreek Hill could come out and smash, and I could be looking stupid. But, we'll see what happens with that. But I thought that aspect was fine. I think that made sense for Seb's team, just kind of turn it into a pick. Kind of still with, hopefully within that top tier, top 15 players. And then in terms of the rest of the trade, let's see here. So Colossal got the 309 and of course we got Garrett Wilson and A-Chain. Like that was basically a swap. I think that's about even. And then you basically, swap the 309 and a 26 third. That's fine. So I think everything is fine and even except for like basically Bijan in the first for Chase. For me, that's just too much to pay. But how do you see the trade, Matt?
For me, I think a lot of times when you look at trades, it also I think a lot of folks when they analyze them, they don't think about the league size and the number of starters too, right? Like if you're we're a 12-team start 11, right? Which that's a pretty deep starting roster, right? Whereas like my home league, the 07 league, as we talked about, that's a 10 team and was actually a start 9. We're expanding to a start 10, but just comparing those, the Chase side to me, I think he is the most elite player in this. Although I am a Bijan fan too. I think the Chase side becomes more interesting if you're starting less people and you have, if you're a now, if you're a bigger league like we are and you have that depth, that's where it's like, I do just generally prefer the Bijan side because there is just so much more value, especially with that added first there. But I also wouldn't say with how, I value Chase very highly. I traded for him in the home league last year. Oh, nice. But he's an elite player. So this is by no means like a, terrible trade, but I would lean on the Bijan side,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agreed, and that's a good point. Yeah, I mean it's all to do with the format, right? If we were in a start 9, there's a chance I'm thinking, oh man, give me Jamar Chase easily. But yeah, you're looking at startup ADP, all that stuff. Chase and Bijan go, not too far, a few slots from each other. Of course, those top receivers always bounce. 1 year Chase is the third one. Next he's the first. Like they're all the same, and Bijan's right behind them in anybody's rankings there. So to pay a first to get up to that, like I just in this format is pretty crazy. But
and by the way, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it kind of just feels like every single part of Seb when you break down the swap. Garrett Wilson's going slightly ahead of a chain in startups. I want to have a 26 first over the 203, whatever else there is, So it's just he should be the one getting the Bijan side, you know what I mean? Instead, he should be down tiering when he's up tiering, basically.
Yeah, that's why I thought the deal where he sent me Garrett Wilson and then I gave him Jamison Williams in a first, basically. Like I thought that was a perfect deal for his team, but obviously, he ultimately valued Garrett Wilson more, so that's why we kind of reversed that deal. But yeah, we actually have Sebastian in the chat. So he said he just got here, and he's talking about a deal he actually just made today. I don't know if you want to jump to that one or if we're going in order here, but maybe I'll save his comment on that for when we break down today's trade. But he also said, "Go Pack, go, Matt," and with a green and yellow heart, the Packers colors there.
Seb, I got the Bart Starr signed little helmet there, buddy. Awesome. Go Pack.
All right, good deal. So should we go to the next trade?
Yeah. And then also you mentioned, by the way, just one last thing. He said, so he turned the 203 into Sutton, which we'll end up going to. But that's interesting to me because if you just look at the trade, the kind of way you broke it down is Tyreek Hill for the 203. So basically you're saying you traded Tyreek Hill into Cortland Sutton. In terms of this deal.
Which, doesn't sound amazing, although, it could age well. I'm not a big Cortland Sutton guy, but he should be solid. Like, Tyreek, certainly has more upside. but it does kind of seem like, I don't know, I'm just kind of getting bad vibes around him. I mean, what are your thoughts, Matt? Like, do you own any Tyreek Hill? Like, how would you feel about owning him in Dynasty right now?
I don't own any Tyreek Hill. I mean, we just saw some news about him come out today, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And not good news, although I think they said he was like cleared or
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, not what you want to hear, certainly.
That's possible. Yeah, I mean, he's an elite player, but I think what is he, 31 at this point?
Something like that. He's getting up there.
I mean, he's getting up there. I think that's the thing. 31.1. Yeah, so he's right there. And the elite receivers like Hill can still produce pretty well even to like 34. But
Sometimes, yeah.
how many elite years is he gonna have left? And we saw some degradation this year, so I don't have any shares of him. But I think I think it's all like your strategy as a team, right? Like if you are trying to compete now, he's and you can get him at a discount, that's a great buy. But it's obviously not a long term play.
So would you pay the 203 if you were a contender and needed a little receiver help?
The 203 for Hill?
Yeah.
If I'm a contender, yeah.
Okay.
I'd probably pay it if I really needed the receiver help. But I think it's, for me, sometimes it's hard to buy vet receivers like that, because it just feels you're gonna have a guy down somewhere where you feel like he's gonna have some similar level of production. It's hard for me to justify that, because if you really want to build like a long-term team,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I play the same way.
Yeah, I look at it the same way, but if you really needed help, like if you're kind of just looking at what Tyreek Hill's done over his career, and you don't have to pay first, you don't need to pay, a couple slots into the second. I mean, if he has one more elite year, you could argue that's also easily worth the 203. And then, because just looking at how Dynasty's the market and all that keep trade cut, if he just goes and has an insane season, like he's actually going to go up in value somehow next year. You know what I mean? Like people were very reactionary with how the past season went. So he's an interesting case. By the way, we got Coda and Andrew and Jacob doing a 27-4 swap, a little bet against each other. By the way,
that's a fun one.
I
wish it was like a third or a second, to just have a little more on the line, but it's definitely a fun trade just with the thought behind it.
I've never actually
wasn't the reason they did the fourth swap to like make fun of you acquiring the fourth through the pick, like that's what I read. That it's like,
is that it? I didn't even get that, but yeah, you're probably right.
I think it's just like
me, basically.
We're just throwing fourth rounders.
Yeah, fair enough.
I've seen these like on Twitter and stuff where like people swap first, like in the future.
Right.
Like I would love to do that with someone.
Saying, like, I bet that my team is better than yours, so I'd rather have your first because that's going to be a higher pick. So I think those are fun if that was the intention.
I might need to throw, because that was 27-4, so I was gonna joke, but I need to send one of those out in one of my leagues and see if I can get one of those done.
For sure.
It's sneaky, especially.
I'm open to it in ours, Blake. Send it over. Let's swap it.
Okay. So wait, we gotta review your team, and then I'll decide. Do I? But are we
actually? One thing we forgot to do. We got to take a look at Matt's Dynasty team, the 07 OG team there.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got to give you, a little roster review. If you need some thoughts on that, like we're happy to help with that.
Okay, let's run.
I love that. If we have time for that, let's do it.
Oh yeah,
okay,
I think we can put that in.
Let's do that after then.
I think we're definitely gonna have you back on again because like we got too much planned for this episode, so we definitely got to have a part 2. So hopefully we can get you back on again soon.
Absolutely.
Happy to.
So this was, I don't know. This is like now reversed, so does it even matter to go over this one? I guess we can give a quick thought to it.
I don't know. Do we? Yeah, I don't even. You know what? Let's just let Sleeping Dogs lie with this one. Let's just move on here.
So here's a real trade here, which again, I don't think this is anything crazy, but I'm fine in Seb's shoes. I want the best pick right now. What's the difference between the 302 and the 211? Whereas the 206, like you're only moving up 3 spots later to move back 4 spots, with the more valuable picks. And you're getting a 407, which is, just about nothing.
Yeah, I feel like
So-
Sebastian should have gotten a little more here.
If that's like
I understand. Like, I don't want to criticize him for going for depth because like that's what we've been telling him to do on like the other trades with like the chasing and everything. But like obviously you want to still make sure that the value is even on both sides. So I mean, it's certainly not an egregious trade or anything, but you know I would slightly lean in favor of the side getting the 206 in it because I don't know how you feel, Matt, but like I like to err on the side of like kind of consolidating some of my picks like before the rookie draft and like move up because then if that like good player falls that you didn't think was going to be there or like maybe you get in right before that tier break happens and like if that happens like you're really glad you made that trade beforehand and if it doesn't work out that way odds are there's still a chance you can end up like trading back and kind of end up reversing the deal anyway. So do you have any thoughts about just that in general?
Yeah, on this, I think in general for like the trade up, you want to, if you're, so basically we're moving from the 210 to the 206, and then you're moving, 302 to 211. Like the gap should be probably wider there of what, right? Like the second gap should be wider if you're only moving up 4. So yeah, and then fourth rounders and rookie drafts, you can basically just throw out. It's like it's like an exponential curve of decreasing value with these picks.
Right. Yeah. Like I mean the 407 is a fun pick to have, but at the same time, like you're not counting on that really turning into much. So yeah, I think it's kind of like the same principles with startups. So yeah, hopefully Sebastian's still listening here. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is what Matt pointed out there is that like, you know, the second gap should be bigger than the first gap. Because that first gap is going to be more impactful because it's earlier in the draft and you're talking about more premium players and assets there.
Yeah, and not only that, but I was just saying, like, the 206, like, the way I like to think about it, too, is that pick, you're not really far off, like, a first-round pick, basically, in that territory. So if someone starts falling out of the first to, say, the 202, like, I want to be going up 4 spots, not back.
I mean, if this was last year, maybe that's Michael Penix that like falls to like the 206. It's like, oh crap! Like I'm getting like a quarterback that was taken, you know, the first round of the NFL draft here in like the mid-second round, and
exactly.
Penix went at that spot in rookie drafts at times last year. It was just amazing value.
Fun fact for if anyone goes back to watch the Grease Bowl draft, even more reason to. Michael Penix, like obviously because he just got drafted behind Cousins there, he fell to the 208. And I actually had traded up to jump Dan, who was at the 209.
At one spot. I was at the 209. I'm like, oh my God, Penix is going to fall to me. Of course, Blake, you know, makes the aggressive move to jump up. And I'll never forgive him for it. It was a cold-blooded move, but I do respect it.
So
didn't he snipe you in the break room too, in like the 7th round or something?
Oh, I mean, we're always sniping each other because like we love a lot of the same players, so it's a constant back and forth. Like we're always like getting revenge on each other, but I'm sure we sniped each other a few times during break room for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I sniped him on Justin Fields.
The Fields was the big one.
That was a big drama.
Yeah, that was a big one. That one hurt.
We're in the later rounds. The one thing I will say to like for that trade for Seb is, you know, I think there are moments where if you do say like, hey, there's a huge tier break, I think the up to the 2.11 there's going to be value, and you want 2 of those players versus just the one at 206. You know, but usually you don't really like. Do we know that at this point? Probably not. Right. But there are those moments where maybe even if you're not getting as much fair value, but you have that tier break and you want 2 of those players, you know, I could see that, but.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, so hopefully, even if he moved out of like that, you know, top tier, kind of at near the end of the first round, hopefully at least kind of got into that, you know, bigger second tier, whatever, by going from like the early third to the late second. So hopefully it comes out like close to even. But
one thing I'll say. When I was looking at things and whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. We haven't seen ranking spots, it's just projection. But it does seem like potentially once you start getting that 206, like it could push in with some good landing spots. But it does feel like there might be pretty flat as far as beyond that into that 302. The 302 range. So those late seconds and wherever that tier ends in the mid second, it does feel like it could be pretty flat. I don't know if that really helps Seb or not. I guess. We'll find out. This, by the way, this is a brand. I didn't even see this trade happen.
Okay.
So you didn't see this either?
No.
Yeah, so this
It's
is
been a
news to
great
me. Yeah, what does it
I kind
happen?
of missed it initially too. Like I don't know if it was some kind of like glitch on Sleeper or like it didn't refresh or something, but like I didn't
Here's
see it until
why.
Coda mentioned something, and then I think I had to like refresh the app, and then like it appeared. So it was kind of weird.
Well, here's why I think because there was a trade right after of the reversal.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's take a look at this. I guess I can break it down real quick. Is Colossal gets Herbert, Jake Ferguson in a second in 2026 for Cooper Cup that he sends away, Tua and Brees Hall. And my initial like thoughts of this, it's actually very funny. I almost did a quarterback in our blind rankings or whatever, our blind comparison video, and the two quarterbacks would have been Tua and Justin Herbert.
Oh.
Basically, like their numbers have been like identical, especially the past like couple seasons. If you minus the concussion and the fact that Tua throws left with his left arm, I mean, there's really not much difference as far as their production.
And they were drafted the same year.
And they're drafted the same year within what, like one pick or two picks. So there is a huge gap between them in value. So I actually love that. The one thing is no one wants Tua when you have him, so it's like you are kind of stuck with them, which I think is fine.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a huge gap in value, but there's not that huge of a gap in production, at least in the past like year or so. So like, I think that's a nice down tier. Like, I basically have those quarterbacks in like the same big tier. Like after like the big top 5 of like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. I don't know if I'm forgetting one, but like after like those big few there, it just seems like it's like one giant tier where like those guys could like finish in like just about any order depending on like how good their coaching is that year, how good their weapons are, how good their offensive line
touchdown
is,
rate. Yeah, exactly. And anyway, so then he gets from Brees Hall to he gets from Jake Ferguson, I guess, to Brees Hall, and then swaps the 26 second for Cooper Cup. So my preference, I love this for Coda. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's like basically fair. I mean, I guess at least on like value, but in terms of which side I'd rather have, like I do prefer Coda's side on this. The way I look at it, like I can kind of call like Jake Ferguson and Cooper Cup a wash. I'd probably rather have Ferguson, especially in
this format.
Yeah, so I'd rather have Ferguson, but like I can kind of call that a wash. I mean, I don't know how much longer. I mean, Jake Ferguson, like some people have the Cowboys, like taking a tight end. They also have like Luke Schoonmaker. Michigan man kind of waiting in the wings there a little bit, So I don't feel amazing about his job security, but I do really think Ferguson's underrated when he's, the starting tight end for the Cowboys. I think he's pretty sneaky. So I think he's nice for this format, at least in the short term. So I'd take him over Cup, but I'll call that close enough to a wash. So basically, like you're Coda's down tiering from Herbert to Tua. Doesn't feel like you're losing much in actual production. So, like, you're basically – it almost feels like you're getting Brees Hall for a 26 second. Yeah. So, like, I love that for Coda, but still, like, I think you can justify it on the other side if you just like Justin Herbert more than Tua long term. He doesn't have the concussion issue. So, I could get it for both sides. And like I said, I do like getting Ferguson in this format. So, I think it's basically fair, but I'll lean Coda.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Matt, on this?
I think I'm a little bit more like – pretty even on this one. I don't actually. If anything, I might lean more on the Herbert side. Now, I like Tua. Like I think I'm higher than consensus on Tua actually. But I also have always been high on Herbert. But I mean, Blake, you bring up some good data. They probably do about the same stats. I just keep believing, and I don't know why. I don't really have shares of Herbert, but I keep believing that he's gonna go back to like what was his rookie year where he was just like on fire. First few years, because he has more of the intangibles. You feel like than Tua, and then Tua with the head stuff. That could be.
And Herbert does give you like a little bit of rushing yards, and he does just seem like a better, like more explosive, like all around like NFL quarterback. So like, yeah, I would certainly would rather have Justin Herbert in Dynasty, but like. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with Tua. I'm higher than the market on him as well. Like I don't really understand the hate on him. I mean, like in that Grease Bowl league we mentioned, like I took over the orphan. What was that? Just last year, right? Was the first year, and I still have Tua on the roster. Like he might be the only like original player that I still have. Because I've made so many trades. he's like, he might be the only guy that, from the original Orphan that I took over. But that kind of speaks to the fact that, like, I don't know if I've ever received a trade offer for him. And because I know that there just isn't a lot of demand for him, I haven't even really, like, tried pushing him on anyone. I'm just kind of happy to rock with him as my QB2.
I think you just rock with him. I think for me, if I'm just trying to build safer long-term value, the more I've played, I'm just like, I want more sure bets. I feel like the Herbert side is more of a sure bet long term.
Yeah,
however,
100%.
If you are trying to win now, I mean, Breece Hall isn't going to win now. He's only 23, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction. I think if like Coda's just kind of going for it, and he probably is because he took no rookie picks in the startup, which was kind of a experimental strategy for him, something he doesn't normally do. I think this makes sense. Is like just kind of go for it. Yep. You get basically a really nice discount on Breece Hall, so I think it could make sense for both sides here.
Yeah, the big key is it's pretty. If you plug this into a calculator, I'm sure it's going to say it's actually like extremely fair. It's kind of just up to your preference on the players and your risk tolerance. And there's been some talk about Breece Hall, though. I'm a big Breece guy. I think if you're comparing Isaiah Davis to take Breece Hall's touches, like I think that's just not gonna happen. But if anything, maybe he gets traded. Maybe that's just a sign that they're happy with their running back room, and I would love to see Breece Hall traded. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. One bold prediction I saw on a player profiler video is that the Jets are going to draft Ashton Genty, which just sounds like such a Jets thing to do, and then trade Breece Hall to the Commanders on draft day, which I think would be super fun. Like, oh man, would I love that for my Breece shares?
Yeah, I mean that would honestly be like probably one of the worst. Well, I don't know. I'll say I don't know what Daniel's like check down rate is, but there's also like 10 better landing spots Breece Hall could go to. There's a lot of really good running back landing spots right now. I would love to see him. I mean, imagine he was the Bears running back.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun. So, anyways, we'll move on from that. I wish we saw more trades like this in leagues where like
that's a great one.
Yeah, the value's fair. But you're saying like maybe Colossal's not high on Breece Hall. He's not buying, he's buying like what the coach speak is saying right now in the Jets backfield, and just wants to get off him.
Yeah, and I think the way Colossal's building his team is like maybe kind of like what Matt alluded to there. I think he's kind of going more for those like sure things, like good, like young stud players, like long-term bets. He's investing into players like Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta. So like some of these guys you might kind of nitpick of like, oh, are they really going to, is Garrett Wilson and Laporta really going to be like true difference makers this season? Maybe there's a little artificial dynasty value there. But I can respect that. I kind of like the way Colossal's been building his team, and so I think it just shows that there are like many different ways to succeed in Dynasty.
Yeah, there's definitely different outlooks and ways to play because there are a lot of times like a player like Garrett Wilson, who I think is just like severely underrated and underpriced, but at the same time you're like, well, is he gonna score points like I project, like I think he can this year? Like that's the biggest thing is timing. Why don't I just like wait? If you don't think a guy's gonna have that year right now, you could go wait. So there's this different like timing and production versus talent way, and it makes it really interesting.
And I think a great way to illustrate that point, Blake, is something that I noticed after after I did the Garrett Wilson deal with Seb, but before we reversed it, I actually noticed that just in terms of last year, I think this gap could, certainly widen this coming season. But at least last year, Garrett Wilson averaged, I think it was 14.8 fantasy points per game last season. Jameson Williams averaged 14.1. Not even 1 point difference between the two of them. So I did kind of look at that and like, wait a minute, why did I pay a first to go from one to the other? Now, again, like I think Garrett Wilson is probably worth it. Like I do think that gap will be bigger this year, but like, man, it does kind of make you think twice a bit. Yeah. So, when Seb said, he regretted that deal, it's like, you know what? Like, mind reversing that. So, it wasn't just like, I'm doing it for Seb. Like I actually was like just as happy with the other side, honestly.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Matt, on this, like, I don't know, on this topic? Because also you kept Michael Vick through the jail sentence, which I feel like somehow connects to this of, like, you have just diamond hands. Like, are you going to hold the player that you think is valuable or drop him or cut whatever, trade him?
Diamond hands, you keep GameStop stock, it's going to weather these tariffs. I think it all comes down to, like, you bet on the talent. you know, and if you believe in the talent, you know, the what do they always say? Go get your guy. Like, if you believe in the talent, you bet on it. But you may have some data that's pretty interesting that you see, like you said, Dan, where it's like, well, these players have scored. You know, JMO and Garrett Wilson have scored pretty much the same, but like, you know, you've watched a lot of football. You have the eye test. We've all been wrong plenty of times too. But like, if you know the talent's there, which I also do believe too, that like Garrett Wilson is a highly talented individual with just some really bad situations.
Yeah.
So I think you bet on that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably one of the, like, I would say to target to like dynasty value, he's probably by like a large margin the cheapest receiver you could ever find in dynasty history. I mean, he has like over 150 targets, I think, every single season of his career. In fact, I think he got 160s in his second year, I think. I mean, he's like a target earner. He had 23 targets against the Vikings last year, which is just like unheard of.
Yeah, I think he's like third in the NFL in targets since he entered the league, something like that. There was just like this like post on I saw on the Sleeper app about Garrett Wilson and like his stats over his first 3 years, and yeah, he definitely earns a lot of targets.
Yeah, exactly. And generally those are pretty valuable, but apparently, I don't know, they must not be very quality from Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson and all those guys. So, anyways, this is kind of relating, I think, to this whole timing with players and talent. The 203 feels, at least right now, in my opinion, kind of like a late first round pick. You might get the exact same thing as you get at the 112 from one draft to another, without the landing spots, of course. Things could always change. And so,
yeah, I think with the 203, it basically might be one of these situations where, like, if you're lucky, you still get like an elite player within that tier, but you just have like zero choice about which one you get.
Exactly.
You kind of just get stuck with like, you know, the guy with the bad landing spot that like no one else before you wanted. So I think it is kind of an interesting rookie pick.
Yeah, or you get the guy with a really good landing spot that was lower pre-draft, and you kind of have a choice like in between those. So anyways, I think the 203 is like literally the cutoff of like a very, very, very interesting pick. Like it could be the highest whatever valued thing. Just look at the pre-draft. If you get Travis Hunter in the mix, going before the 203, and you're looking at the names, like, you know, there's a lot to like about a pick in this range. And so we made a video of the blind comparison in Cortland Sutton versus Calvin Ridley. So basically, like, you'll know what I think about this. Like, he shouldn't have went and paid the 203, in my opinion, for Sutton. He should have went, and I think, Matt, you alluded this earlier. You were saying if you're buying maybe like a veteran player, you can kind of go down the list, and there's maybe just different options. Is that kind of what you were alluding to before?
Yeah, and I think in this scenario, like, look, the second round picks are a crapshoot, an absolute crapshoot for sure. I do think it's a very deep rookie draft that we're you never know, by the way, but it feels like it's a very deep rookie draft. I think with this one, it's like, my advice would be if you want to compete, trading for Sutton may not be the worst thing in the world, but I would just hold on to the if you're gonna do this trade, hold on to the pick because it's only gonna go up in value. Wait till you're on the clock. Wait till you see who's on the board. Because even if something drops, it's going to be even valued higher in that moment. You can get probably even in that moment more if you really like Sutton. Get Sutton plus. You know,
exactly.
That's my main thing on it. But long term,
I think you're 100% right on that, and I think that's something Sebastian will just, you know, he'll definitely learn it at some point. But yeah, you know, can't totally blame him for not knowing that, just being completely new to Dynasty. But yeah, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest learning, as Matt's saying, like, on the clock, like, I think there's a chance with what falls to the 2-3, you get a 26-second on top of Sutton, because as we get into this offseason, we forget about what happened more and more. People care less and less about, 29, 30-year-old receiver, and they care more about the rookie that was drafted in the, the early second round receiver, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's so crazy, the psychology of that. Like, during the rookie draft, it's like, the veterans are just like, they just feel like so irrelevant. Like no one even cares about it. Like outside like the elite studs, like it's just like, oh, like, I mean, you know, the Calvin Ridleys and Cortland Suttons, you know, these are good players that, you know, should be in starting lineups, but like during a rookie draft, like no one cares about them. So
it's really that rookie fever. And you want
exactly.
You want like a huge overpay right now, or you hold on to it until the moment and then
exactly.
You know, like
well said. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, I think I could be I don't know, learning moment maybe Sutton runs it back. I would hope he does, paying a 203.
Yeah.
Look, it's not horrific, right? I mean, Sutton,
Yeah.
like Bo Nix surprised me. I really was down. I really hated Bo Nix in the rookie draft last year. He surprised me in our league. The superpowers grabbed him. I was like, oh, I don't know about that, and he crushed it. I mean, he's gonna have another great year, and Sutton could have a few great years with Bo Nix. So.
Yeah. Hey, so Matt, how much time do you have more to like spend with us? Because like we got like several other segments planned. We're probably not going to be able to get to everything, but like, what are you looking at? Like, could we do like one more segment? Two, and like
I can probably do one more segment if you want to hop over to the team review. We could end at least my portion of that if that works.
Yeah, let's do that.
Good.
By the way, we got
selfishly, guys. Selfishly.
Hey,
no, absolutely. I want to see this.
You came on the stream. You've been killing it here. It's the least we can do is provide a little feedback to the OG Dynasty squad here. So yeah, it'd be our
absolutely. By the way, we got a few chats here. So I think where we left off is Seb said, he just got here. He didn't think the Sutton deal was too bad, but again, as we just talked about that whole deal. He also said, "Go Pack, go, Matt." Which I want to throw up saying that.
I saw that earlier.
We read it earlier.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we did see that. That's my bad. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so Seb was saying in that deal that ended up getting reversed, he did get Browning in. I think what I'll say to that is like Jake Browning may not be the backup. He may, but he's still worth 0. So like you shouldn't be paying.
I think the one
big price for that.
I would say to Sebastian, kind of like the lesson to learn from that deal, even if you don't quite like realize it yet. But like basically, when you're trading like big assets, like Devon A-Chain or whoever else was in that deal, like a player like Jake Browning or like a fourth, like they don't even matter. Like you don't even like factor them into the equation of the deal. So like if you're splitting up A-Chain, like you generally want to turn them into like 2 pieces, like maybe 3 tops. But you want to get like a receiver that's maybe worth a first. Like let's just say like Jordan Addison in a first. Like that's like a split.
Flowers and whatever.
Zay Flowers in a first. Like that's solid. You split them into 2 pieces.
Don't give credit for like a 29th round startup pick. Basically, you should have just drafted him in the startup, like knowing you had Burrow. Basically, is like the lesson there. I think.
Yeah. If you are using keep trade cut, like don't even put Jake Brown in there. Like don't even put the 4th in there. Like that would probably be the best.
He probably has like negative value on there.
Right. And actually, like a trick that Blake does, if you do want to put all the pieces in there, like Browning and the Force and everything, on the side that's getting the best player, add an early 4th, basically until they're the same number of assets on each side. So, like, if you're giving, like, 2 assets and you're getting back 5, add 3 early 4ths, to the other side to make it 5 for 5, even though you're not actually getting them in real life. That will kind of, like, balance out for the fact that keep trade cut doesn't it doesn't.
It tries to, but it doesn't do it well, basically.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. That's why, like, one of the newer players in our league, like, I was saying, it was like you gotta like they have the value adjuster, but it's not enough.
Exactly.
Especially when we're in a coming into next year, we're start 10. This year start 9. It's like we had like a CD Lamb for Brock Purdy plus Sutton plus a bunch of other stuff.
Okay,
that's a learning moment. Exactly.
Yeah, but you don't want to take.
But the calculator might say
throwing in a bunch of junk just to make it look good on KTC. So like, that's something you want to look out for. But yeah, the only players that KTC probably does value enough is like those ones that are like 9 to 10,000, like Josh Allen, Jamar Chase. Like for those, it's hard to like throw in a ton of junk and even it out. But for like anyone that's just below that, like they never give enough credit to the stud. So yeah, be careful about that.
By the way, new chatter, Tara Powers, and she said better to have a value player to trade for more value. We're talking about Sutton, and she also said, "Go Bo Nix" when you threw up the Bo Nix there.
Yeah.
That's my wife out there.
That's her wife. Okay.
Awesome.
I was wondering, I don't think we've had a lady. Although we've had Josh on his wife.
First female in the stream here, so
Yeah, we did have Josh on his wife's account there, but it's good to see the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She co-owns a team in our home league and is the owner of the Superpowers. So she's got Bo Nix.
So you were ripping into
that's
her
awesome.
when she was part of that Bo Nix decision, huh?
Yeah, like I was like, hey, I try to help, but I was like, I think I don't know. It was what, early second, maybe 2.02 with 10 teams, so basically the 112 in the league. I thought it was a fair place to take him. I still like Brian Thomas Jr. in that moment, and I kept trying to get him to 2.04, which was crazy. Cormac got him. But anyways,
I see.
I digress. She's very proud of Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Yep, and being a
I
good
think it's
pick
really
regardless.
cool that you got your wife into Dynasty. Like, I mean, that's a smart move because then it's like an easier for like you to partake in it and like not having the wife hassle you. So very smart move, Matt.
I wasn't exactly going to share my whole life story on this, but I will say, like, our first date, we got talking. She's a football fan. We got talking about fantasy football, and she played in a bunch of redraft or a couple of redraft leagues.
Okay.
And she was talking to me about how like she was down on DeMarco Murray this year, and I was like, I think I'm going to marry you.
Oh my
Okay.
God, dude! Oh my God! I would have had the
didn't
exact same reaction of like, oh my gosh, like I have found the perfect woman.
Yeah, that was the moment. I didn't say
my
that,
God.
but like I was definitely thinking that.
I love that. That's a great story, and I love how specific it was. Like, yeah, going down on DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
I can just imagine your face, like just like the like the jackpot meme with like the 3 sevens coming up. Like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
She just commented, I had my own leagues before me. Yes. I think we clarified that. She had her own leagues. Yeah, I did introduce her to Dynasty, which is
Oh, okay, fair
a
enough.
whole new animal. She co-owns it with her sister, and they do a good job.
Oh, okay.
So kind of one of the first co-owners. I never.
Very nice.
Ever
Hey, that's
experienced
the
that.
ultimate co-owner right there. Life partner.
That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome because I'm in Canada, by the way. So like out here, like football is just as popular. Well, not just as popular. I would say it's like less popular amongst women, but like men are. It's like just as popular or close to. But with it's kind of like I think I've heard of like one girl playing fantasy football that I know. And she was like, I play like soccer with her, and she was like showing me her team, and she was like trying to get me to help her. And I ended up picking her up a league winner, though. I think she got eliminated before she could start him. But it was Tajay Spears who like actually was going nuts, and she was like ripping into me about that pickup or something. I'm like, just hold on to him. Like he's good, better than what's there.
Trust the talent.
Trust talent. But so yeah, and then I think she said she ended up making like maybe got eliminated or whatever. But she was like telling me about that league or whatever, and like competing against her boyfriend, and she ended up like watching Red Zone and stuff like that, though she could care less about football just because she wanted to see her players scoring points basically, which is
Sundays
awesome.
in our house are very much during football season dedicated to Red Zone Plus, as much NFL Sunday ticket as we can get, which is good.
Yeah, you're a lucky man. I gotta get my girlfriend. I gotta hang out. Oh, I often hang out with her before the Vikings games in Red Zone, so I handle that, and then I just go do my own thing. Not too into it, unfortunately.
It's a smart play. I will say, I guess I'm piling on the family stories here. My dad got my mom playing in a league.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And he's like, because she used to give him crap for paying for Sunday tickets, because it's always been expensive, even when it was like DirecTV. And he's like now she doesn't like, oh, how much longer are we watching this? It's, hey, are my players on? So
That's right.
Smart move.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you need me to screen share league? Can I?
Let's. I was having troubles remove. Let me see here. I think I can pull it up here. Yeah. Okay. Now give me a moment here because I got to take out the overlay because I forgot to do that earlier. So.
Yeah, my last girlfriend, I started getting into Dynasty. It was kind of like just like a little bit before we ended up breaking up, but there was a fun period there where I was like getting her into it, and she was like helping me scout like the rookies, for like the rookie drafts coming up, and like I didn't expect, like she liked football, but she'd like never done like anything fantasy, so like I wasn't sure like how that was gonna go. Was she actually gonna like even kind of indulge me and do it and like help me make some good decisions. I think that was the year I got Puka. Maybe not. If we run out of time today, we could definitely talk about him another time. But yeah, that was kind of fun. So always good when you get your partner into fantasy football, especially Dynasty.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
and Tara's saying Dynasty is another beast. She's still learning to negotiate draft positions and trades. So I can only imagine you guys just talking about this randomly. You know, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be yapping my girl's ear off about this whole strategy. I don't even want to get started with it.
We talk about it some. But I also, so I commissioner this league, and I try to keep like a division of church and state with this, where I've made some deals with the superpowers, smaller deals, but I actively try not to trade with it, because I just even if it seems fair in the moment, then I end up winning it. It's like the optics of it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
That's her team. Go to Cheeseheads. That's me. That's
okay. Enough of her team.
Yeah, we don't. She's done a good job.
We're running low on time here. We gotta
So,
help out Matt.
One thing about ML football, is this like a custom? What is this?
That's a freebie. So highly recommend for anyone out there, if you want to build your own team logo, just go into ChatGPT and start telling it to craft something. I went through a bunch of iterations, but I made newer logos this past year for each of the teams, and this was the Cheeseheads one. I thought it was
okay.
Awesome.
We were just playing with.
I never even would have thought to do that. That's very fun.
We were just playing with an AI. We used it for our last thumbnail. It's kind of fun to go through there. It's like I don't know. It's like gambling or something, because you got to give it the commands and see what pops out.
Yeah, it's funny, anticipating what it's gonna spit out. And it was a real fun one for our last video. Basically, the video is called "What is a Fantasy Doppelganger?" and basically it was a blind comps video. And so the thumbnail, we got this 49er looking in the mirror, and then the reflection is a Jets player, but it's this monster with glowing eyes and big sharp teeth and everything. It's pretty crazy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. For Cormac's team, and this one is Bijan Mustard and Co. So I just asked the ChatGPT. I just asked it to make Colonel Mustard just drinking as much mustard as he could do. It's pretty shocking. It's not on that. If you go to the home page, you can kind of see it there. It's really I don't know if you can even blow it up, but it's pretty disturbing.
Okay.
So my team here, you're going to tell me what I already know, is that I need to deal a QB away, which has been my MO in this league since the beginning. But I recently made a deal. So I traded in the offseason. I dealt T. Higgins for. I'd love to come back and have many more of these and just rage about Kyle Pitts for an entire session.
Oh man, we're right there with you. I think now where are you at, Kyle Pitts? You gotta tell us, because I think we've just kind of thrown in the towel. We're just done with him.
But Cormac, who runs the Bijan team, has been trying to make a trade for him, but it's just for scraps. And at this point, it's the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Talk
about that.
But another one of the many reasons I lost the championship is I benched Pitts finally for Colts in that.
Of course.
And of course he got a touchdown again. And,
the Falcons had that big. I guess that. Well, wait.
It was that big Penix game.
Does it go through week 17 or 18?
Oh.
17 was the champion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking for a second maybe it was that big Falcons-Panthers game, but no, that was in week 18, so yeah.
But a brutal loss. I had Higgins go off for 3 TDs. Jonathan Taylor went off for 2, and I still lost by 6 points.
Wow.
Goff and Amon-Ra almost brought me back to victory there, but
yeah. This is a solid team, of course, at quarterback and receiver, which is generally where you want to be loaded in Dynasty. You're absolutely loaded. So what are, if I guess your wife is potentially listening here, but maybe there is a deal to be made there, though you said you're a little careful with dealing with her. I could use maybe another receiver. Pickens kind of has lost some value there with this signing. She does. She actually does have a good running back stable. There actually could be a trade to be made there. She's got Josh Jacobs, she's got James Cook, and Chase Brown, which is a really solid three. They're definitely a potential, and but now she has Justin Fields presumably starting Bo Nix and Tua, so that's not a bad. Tua and Bo Nix, she's kind of solid. There's 2 teams out there that are really struggling at QB.
Nick Weber's grill, he's got Geno, Baker, and Deshaun Watson. So and he also has Breece Hall. So, a fair trade, at least on most calculators and things you'd see, would be like Kyler for Breece. But I nobody likes Kyler, and it's interesting to me. I'm interested in your opinion on him.
Well, is this 6 points or 4 points for passing touchdowns? And also, is it still a non-PPR or have you moved to PPR now?
It's half point PPR and it's 6 point passing.
Okay. Yeah, it does seem like people aren't big on Kyler anymore, so he's probably a hold. But like, I think that the thing with your quarterbacks is like, don't be picky about like which one you want to trade away. Just see like who is their demand for. Like, who is someone out there actually willing to pay like a good market price value for, and then trade that one away. So like, I wouldn't be picky about like which one your keep. I mean, like you definitely got to move like one or two of those, at least one. And certainly like you want to see if you could turn that into a running back. Or also, like, I'm kind of surprised you don't roster more tight ends because you got to start 2 each week, right?
So, sorry, I should have said this. When we did change the league, we reduced it to 1 tight end, was a big
okay, that makes more sense.
And it is, not only is it not tight end premium, it's also half PPR. So if you're going to be weak at a position, it is good to be weak, of course, at Pitts, or at tight end there.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm trying to think.
I'd be okay starting Pitts, but still in a 10-team league, like... probably doesn't move the needle. So, like, could you trade Pitts for Jonnu Smith? I would absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much is Jonnu in this league? Or maybe you just rock both of them. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, in a 10-team league, like, I would add to Pitts just to feel good about Jonnu Smith this season. I think he could be good for a few more. I'm a big Jonnu guy. I don't know how you feel, Matt. I got him in like half my leagues. I'm in 10.
Here's the one issue with Jonnu, though, in this league, because it's half PPR. Like, he's amazing in tight end premium because everything is just at the line of scrimmage. Everything's basically just a screen. He's the lowest ADOT of like any tight end. So that's just like not that valuable in this format, unfortunately.
I think I'd still be happy with them, but I hear you.
Well, sure. I'm just saying, I think he did score a decent amount of touchdowns, but you want to find these guys that are touchdown scores.
Like, you might be able to get like a plus on Jonnu for Pitts. I mean, who knows? If you find a Pitts lover in your league, maybe like you might get lucky. So I don't know. It could be worth exploring.
There's not many left. There's not many.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm gonna keep shopping Pitts to try to get something. I have been. So the Nick Weber's grill that has the most abysmal QBs with Geno and Baker. I mean, Baker's great, obviously, but he needs to kind of rebuild. So he I don't know. There's a lot I would do if that team finds him, but he has Breece. He has the 1.01. So I was trying to get that 1.01, kind of moved away from that because I don't think he's moving off of that.
Yeah.
I was trying to go for Breece and Hawk because he has Hawkinson and he's got Trey McBride. So it's kind of a perfect trade partner for me. He's got a stable running backs and tight ends, but he's newer to Dynasty too. He's one of the expansion teams that maybe hasn't leaned as much as like Cormac has, and I think he's a little trigger shy on the trades, rightfully so, right? So I'm trying to like get something going. I think I'm,
Yeah, but I mean, if you want any buys at running back, like we did highlight some good ones in that blind comps video that we mentioned that's called What is a Fantasy Doppelganger? So, yeah, some good guys that we like from that video are like Chuba Hubbard, Devon A-Chain, Jordan Mason. So I would definitely explore trades for those guys. Definitely watch the video because I think you'll be surprised how similar – actually, I guess I shouldn't have given it away. Now it's not going to have the same impact. But I think you'll be surprised how similar – like each of those 3 running backs are to the running backs that we compared him to. Definitely check that out.
And you have Aaron Jones. So I wonder if like Mason would be a fun guy just because like you're pretty thin. But I love like the Dowdles and I love like the Braille and Allens of the world where it's just like if you're one injury away from like having a guy that you feel like pretty good about starting.
One thing like strategy wise, at least I've taken up more over the years is like, especially mid season, but even in the like. Just if you've got your guys at wide receiver and QB, which I do have in this team, then like just load up your depth on running back. Because to your point, like, there's so many of those depth guys that end up having huge contributions in the year. So
hey, see if you can get Sean Tucker thrown into a deal. I think he's going to be the Bucs RB2 this season. I just love his upside in terms of explosive playmaking ability. We saw some glimpses of that last year. I mean, he looks like the real deal. I mean, it sucks that he's buried behind Bucky Irving, but I do think he has a great chance of being the RB2 on Tampa. Great offense. That could be a sneaky guy to just have stashed on the bench. So see if you can get him thrown into a deal.
Yeah, he's basically free. Maybe on the way. Oh, I guess he's probably not on the waiver wire. I don't
Never know.
10-man team. 10.
No, here's the challenge. You guys keep suggesting superpower players.
Okay. Okay.
No, but this is a sign, guys. Maybe this is a sign. We just got to make it. John Tucker, Johnny Smith is both definitely over on their side. But Achane is on my arch nemesis. Yeah. He's the greatest show online, but he changed his team name to Greatest, like Cheese Grater. He beat me in the championship, which is
definitely love Jalen Wright on this channel. So if you can't get A-Chain, get Jalen Wright and just hope for an A-Chain injury.
One thing I'll say though is like, if Jalen Wright survives the draft, I'm very happy. I'm actually pretty nervous. I'd be nervous if it's just like it's not even just like the Dolphins. It's basically any backup running back. Like, there's just so many. Like, so many guys are gonna lose their jobs. So I guess after the NFL draft, if he survives, then try to go Jalen Wright is where I'm kind of at. Because I love Jalen Wright, but a chain if you can't get him. Like, I don't. People are saying, yeah, Jalen Wright was ass, but like, I mean, he didn't have a chance. Like, I was watching some of the games where he got his carries far and few between, and like he was just getting blown up in the backfield, and he had some great explosive plays.
The line was so bad though. I definitely think that some of these running backs that disappointed as rookies are going to have like really good year twos. We've seen that before with like Kyron Williams, Tank Bigsby. There's hope for these guys, and at the same time, some of these rookies are going to come out in year one and just be like terrible and not be able to sniff the field or have fumbling issues or they can't pass protect, and then they're going to be buried behind Jalen Wright, who everyone had written off, but now he takes the step forward in year two, and the rookie that we hyped up way too much is just going to be sitting on the bench all year. It's going to be the next, Jermaine Burton or, what Jalen Wright was last year, basically. So I do think we kind of get too caught up in rookie fever, and I do like betting on some of those like year two, year three breakouts, especially year two. Not only for wide receivers, but also running backs.
Yeah, I think they're a great bet. I think at the end of the day, with having the 1.09, I feel good about getting a running back. And with JT plus that rotating door, I'll be good. So I'm not going to like reach for anything, but I do want to get more RB depth and maybe make a bigger trade if I can get value for those QBs. But I'm also fine holding on to all four and waiting for someone to kind of get an injury or something where I can evaluate.
Here's a fun one.
Might have to do that.
Here's a fun one though. When you get into the rookie draft, because I feel like a league of this, it's on ML football. It's like kind of like the home league. Like there's just like less. I don't know. It's not like as much of these sleeper leagues where there's just like you said, it kind of like the Wild West. I'm sure it's like less like that now compared to 2007. But like I'm sure there's like still. You think you can get like a really good rookie pick or rookie picks because there's just so many good running backs in this class. Like, I'm sure if someone needs a quarterback and they have rookie picks, there could be a deal like that where you do get a rookie, but then again, you might get a very good rookie or very good prospect.
I mean, I think given your depth at quarterback, like if on the clock in your rookie draft, you're able to turn one of those QBs into like a high pick or maybe multiple picks, like I'd be willing to have some flexibility there. Yeah, I mean, we know what a loaded running back class it is. Also, supposed to be really good for tight ends as well. So it's like, I don't know, like in this kind of league where like there's not much scarcity at quarterback, like maybe you have to do a deal where you're getting like, I don't know, 4 seconds for like one of these quarterbacks or like, 3 seconds and like 2/3. And like, you might have to get a little creative, but like, I don't know, like I'd be open to creative offers like that potentially.
Yeah. Or you get the big one, you get like your RB3 or something for like one of these quarterbacks and maybe you get something on top or whatever, just based on the evaluation.
Take advantage of like the fact that like no one cares about veterans. So like who's like a really like boring veteran running back that you could just get like thrown into a deal for like moving back in the
James
rookie
Conner.
draft. Yeah, get James Conner. Especially if the Cardinals like don't take a running back in the draft. Like go after James Conner. Maybe go after Mixon if the Texans don't take a running back early. Like really target those like boring like old running backs. during the rookie
That
draft.
is another option, and both of those are actually on a team called the Outlaw, which is barreling very rapidly towards complete irrelevance in this league. And
Yeah, you know what? You could kind of do this thing where you kind of like, nudge them toward that rebuild even further, like dangle those rookie picks, at them at the height of rookie fever. Like, I think you could make something happen.
I think that's right. I think that's a good strategy. Or I just swing for the fences and try to deal Drake May for Genty straight up. Let's go.
I like that. Drake May.
Oh, I would do that in a heartbeat. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure I would need to add to
Drake May.
Yeah.
Right, but if I really need a running back and I want to like go big, I could think about that because I bet if I added a little something to that, I might be able to get him to go for it.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's an amazing idea, especially because it is a 10. Because, like, generally they go right beside each other, or even May goes earlier. But in this format, yeah, you're right. If you got to add something, like, I'd love to do that with your room. And May, like, that's the thing. That's the worst part, is, like, when you really like a player in real life, you see the potential. But the one thing is, like, my issue with May is, like, he's ranked above Bo Nix, who just balled out, and, like, players like that. Where, like, obviously, we know he's not in a good situation. He can run. But it's like all projection still at the same time with a player like with Drake May. So he could be the next Josh Allen. We have yet to see the evidence for scoring points is the one thing. So I do like him as like a sell over, and then you can keep Goff, like someone like that who actually just keeps on balling.
Right, who you're just not going to get that value.
And you're not going to get that value for, exactly.
It can be interesting.
So that would be a fun one.
Matt, is there anything else we can answer for you about this team before you got to get out of here?
Well, Tara was just posting in the chats. What's your thoughts on Marvin Harrison Jr. this year? This is the team she co-runs with her sister, and they've done a good job of bringing it back. I'm interested in your guys' thoughts on Marvin Harrison. But
I love him. I think he's probably like just the easiest, most obvious like buy in Dynasty ever. I mean, we know what a prospect he is. We know he's got the bloodlines. And his rookie season disappointed a little bit. I mean, the expectations were through the roof. I never thought he should have been going like where he was in redraft leagues and like on underdog and everything. Like, I thought that was absurd. And I was definitely a big fan of him. I got one share in Dynasty. I've been trying to get more. Might be close to getting him in another league, but like, I think it's going to be one of those situations where 1 year from today, we're looking back, and like asking ourselves like, why wasn't I scooping up Marvin Harrison in like every Dynasty league I'm in at the discount he was at? Because like he's probably worth like 3 firsts like a year from now.
Yeah, It's funny because like I love when players like don't like live up to their expectations, and then like now that's the time to buy. Like for example, instead of getting Marv, like I had 0 Marv, I traded all away my picks for Marv because I had a couple 102s and stuff like that. And there was just no way I was going to take that when I could get Jalen Hurts players like that instead. Jamar Chase in one scenario where I basically just added a bit to get to Jamar Chase. So like now is the time to buy Marv. Agreed with that. I do have some hesitations of multiple factors. It's not really the talent. There was a lot of support with Kyler Murray. I forget what show it was. I think it was like Matt Waldman. I don't know if either you know who that is. He had a good conversation with someone on some podcast about why he was so low on Marvin Harrison, and the stuff he brings up is like pretty concerning, I guess. Though what I'll say is it's all price dependent. So I do think if you're getting Marv, like let's say in a startup in the mid third, like that's easy pick. But if you're paying a late second, there's a pretty big gap there in value in players. So I'm a little on the edge there with Marv. I don't really know where I'm at with him.
I mean, I am kind of curious, like, what was concerning there, like, specifically, or at least, like, what was the main thing that was concerning?
Yeah, one of the big ones was just as far as, like, the targeting, his players and stuff like that. Like, basically, Marv's skill sets was not, and like, I think it was the quality of, like, targets that Kyler Murray dishes out. Like, we did see it work with DeAndre Hopkins, but whatever it was that he brought up, like, I listened to it a while ago, like, he said, like, that is not going to work out, and, like, basically invest in Marv like once Murray's gone or whatever, if that ever happens. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I thought it was an interesting point. I think Marv's extremely talented, so it's a hard.
I'm very pro Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I was So this is an interesting part of this league. I had the first overall pick last year. I had like Kyler was injured, JT was injured, Chubb was injured. Like I just had this abysmal year of injuries, and I ended up getting the 1.01. I was strongly considering taking Harrison over Caleb Williams, which was a tough moment in this league. But then I ended up being able to deal the 1.01 for Jamar Chase, which was pretty sweet. So, but I was like super into Harrison. I was actually probably going to lean towards taking Harrison 1.01. But I was happy that Superpowers got it at 1.02. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, 885 and 8 TDs is in the grand scheme of things not a bad rookie year. I think we're so skewed when we see like Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., these kind of guys. Like you want him to have had that year.
It's true.
But there's a little bit of skewing it with that, I guess. I will say the last thing I would just say, I still believe in him. I think he's an extreme talent, but I do think there's like an eye test moment of like just some of the games I was seeing where he just didn't look that explosive, you know. And then you see Neighbors in every route he's running, and every time he's getting the ball, he looks just like a monster out there.
I have the same thoughts on Rome Odunze of like the eye test thing. Like he looked so good in college, and then when he was out there, like it's the same thing. So. He's a whole other topic, but I think my whole point with Marv, I guess, of like my opinion is like I want to get him, but imagine you had to pay a rookie pick right now. What would you have to pay? 102? Like I'm not doing that. Like his price should be going down.
No, but you're not paying a single pick for Marv. Like I mean, like the trade I'm negotiating. I mean, I guess I could talk about it, but like,
I'm just saying theoretically though, if you had to pay a rookie pick like for him,
I know, but that's my point. Is like you wouldn't want to do it for a single pick. Like you can kind of get him for. Multiple pieces, not that you're throwing like junk at the guy, but like I'm close to a deal where I'm basically giving like the 106 and like 2 seconds, 2 mid seconds and like throwing in like a Tyler Algier type. And so like, I might be able to get something like that done. So like, that's the kind of move I'm looking to make.
Yeah, that's much more palatable if you're not paying up. I mean, it's still 106. Again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's a great pick, and I don't trade that away easily. But like, I have a lot of picks in this league. Like, I don't mind giving up a couple seconds on top of the 106 to get Marv because like I don't think I'm getting a prospect that good at the 106.
I definitely do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Exactly. Like it's he's an interesting one for me.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how it turns out a year from now. I feel pretty good about it. I think it's one of those players that like you could overthink and like analyze the minutia of like this or that and come up with reasons that to be worried or fade him. But like, I just ultimately think he's a player you just don't want to overthink. I'm just going to trust in the talent and his prospect. Players like adjust to the NFL like at different speeds. Like I'm going to bet on the second year breakout with him.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If you want to get in, right now is the time for the second year breakout.
I don't know. I'd buy right now.
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying, if you can get them without giving up like the like the 102, if you can get them in a different way, then like that's how I want to do it. Especially if I can. I guess the trick if you come up to them is like you might be giving a player like as productive like his last season. Like imagine if you're giving up whatever like can't even think of a receiver, but like. Think of it like a decent. Let's say you're giving up Xavier Worthy, JSN. Yeah. Oh, I'd give up. I don't know. JSN's another topic for me, but
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I would do that.
I would really want to like give up like a second year wide receiver because those are some of my favorite guys to bet on.
But imagine you had to give up.
I'm not trying to up tier from like Worthy to Marvin.
Exactly.
Harrison.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give like a few rookie picks to turn into Marvin Harrison.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So. Yeah, and then I can't. I want to get into the Jaden Reed stuff, but I can't right now because I actually don't know where I am. I'm like so pro Jaden Reed, but like really iffy at the same time. But maybe we'll have to have you back on or something for that. How long have we been going here?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I should probably hop myself. I'd love to come back, guys. It's been fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Would love to talk Jaden Reed at another time. I have a lot of complex thoughts.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, it's been such a pleasure having you on here. So much fun. We got to have you back on soon. I feel like we got a lot more topics to get to.
Oh, yeah.
You did awesome today. Great job. My only complaint is way too much football talk, not nearly enough Seinfeld talk.
Yeah, next time we need to have the Seinfeld gift draft. Maybe we assign a character to each team in the break room or some,
I love it. Yeah. In fact, let's start with that. So next time you're on, we're going to start with the Seinfeld, and if there's time, maybe we'll get to a little football talk.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I hadn't actually put any thought into which team should be which character, so I'll come. Yeah. I'll come with my own. Maybe we each come with our own character assignments there, Perfect. And then
we will reveal our selections there.
Yeah, just don't make me Newman. I appreciate it.
Oh, there's got to be a Newman in the league. I was already thinking about that. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. I got See, I've unfortunately been like in one of the Friends territory. I have watched Seinfeld, but I didn't finish it. I'm on like season 6 or something like that. So now I got an excuse to like get right back in it. Maybe I'll start from the beginning. Because I'm just these references are just going over my head.
Start from the beginning. It's not like you're watching like Lost and just start where you left off. Nah,
but that's I gotta start it again because I
do love those early episodes. Like I don't know, like
all these references are going over my head. I'm sure I've seen the episodes. I gotta watch it again here.
I mean, I feel like all the seasons of Seinfeld are good, but there's talking about those early ones that just kind of hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
I was about to actually say I think so. Some of the later seasons, as opposed to like other shows, the later seasons, there's some gems out there too.
Oh, there are. I mean, we're talking about one of the best shows ever. So yeah, I mean, I love like the whole like series, but yeah, there's just some of those early episodes that I don't know. I just love like the nostalgia, and it just seems like I don't know. There's just something like so pure about like the show early on that I love. We'll have to talk about it next time, but yeah, great series.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks again, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you so much. It was awesome, and we'll definitely have you on again soon, man.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Let's have you back, and also good idea for the break room of this whole conversation because now we'll put up a vote for the break room. Anyone else watching there about trying to get some kind of draft, event going, kind of like Grease Bowl.
Oh yeah, I think that would be fun. So I mean, like whatever everyone wants to do, we're flexible. We don't have to do it, but it was fun in Grease Bowl.
Yeah. Anyways, man, thanks again, and thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, I'll talk to you